In the middle of an elegant evening, the soft lights of a luxury restaurant illuminated the faces of the participants in a crucial negotiation. In that suspended atmosphere, next to one of the tables, a young woman nervously clutched a crystal glass, feeling the weight of the gazes on her. No one would have ever imagined that she, with that simple gesture of presence, would change everything. But what was really about to happen? Before you find out how this incredible twist will change the course of history, I invite you to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Let's take a step back. The Bertram family was known in the city for the extraordinary success of its head, Florin, a cold, calculating, and ambitious man. Starting out as a traveling salesman, thanks to a brilliant intuition, he had managed to transform abandoned land into a real estate empire. Each single property represented his personal conquest, and no one, not even his family, would ever dare to stand in his way. For him, each brick was a victory against the humble past from which he came. Florin had one goal: to ensure that his son, Ravel, would follow in his footsteps and take over the family business. But the relationship between the two was far from simple. Ravel, despite his impeccable education and constant efforts to make himself useful, could never satisfy his father. Florin criticized him relentlessly, belittling his every success. The young man felt crushed under the weight of impossible expectations, growing more frustrated every day that nothing he did was ever enough. Their relationship was a constant battle. Every interaction between them left invisible scars, not only on Ravel, but also on his father, unable to recognize the love behind the disappointment. Ravel tried to prove his worth, while Florin never gave him even a glance of approval. His father's coldness hurt him deeply, leaving him with an inner void that he could not fill, not even with the hardest work. In the midst of this family tension, Alba entered. Young and brilliant, Alba was forced to interrupt her studies to help her family, who were struggling financially. Florin, ever the pragmatist, offered her a job in his building, thinking it was a gesture of charity. But what he didn't know was that Alba's arrival would disrupt the order of his perfectly calculated life. Alba, with her natural ability to read people, would soon become a key element. Alba and Ravel had known each other for a long time. They had been friends during childhood, but life had torn them apart. When they met again in the corridors of Florin's large building, it was as if years of distance dissolved in an instant. "I can't believe it's you," Ravel exclaimed, surprised and perhaps a little moved. Their friendship, which seemed lost in time, was rekindled in an instant, and with it, their confidence. Memories of childhood surfaced, and for a moment, they both felt light, free from the weight of their current lives. Whenever Ravel felt his father's grip tightening on him, he sought comfort in Alba. She, with her sweetness and understanding, became his refuge. Talking to her allowed him to forget, if only for a few moments, the weight of expectations. But Alba was not just a shoulder to cry on. She had her own demons. Her family's financial worries tormented her, and that job, which allowed her to help, kept her anchored to a life she didn't want. But her presence had become essential, both for herself and for Ravel. One day, Alba witnessed a heartbreaking moment between father and son. While cleaning Ravel's office, she saw Florin storm in, slamming the door. "You're useless," her father shouted, his voice cutting like a blade. "You'll never be able to do what I did. Everything you touch becomes a failure." Ravel, visibly shocked, looked down, unable to respond. Alba, hidden in a corner, felt helpless, as if she were violating an intimacy that did not belong to her. When Florin left, Ravel, devastated, invited her to stay. "I'm sorry for what you heard," he said, his voice breaking. Alba looked him in the eyes, and with a reassuring calm, she replied, "You don't have to apologize. No one should feel this way. Not because of a father." The words hung in the air, filling the room with a truth that Ravel had never had the courage to admit to himself. From that moment on, their bond grew stronger. Ravel found in Alba a strength he didn't know he had. And Alba, though torn by her problems, knew there was much more to him than what her father saw. However, Florin wasn't done surprising her. There was something in the air, an imminent change that neither of them could foresee. One day, Florin did something unexpected. He gave Alba an expensive dress and asked her to accompany him to an important negotiation. Alba couldn't believe his gesture. Why had the coldest and most detached man she knew given her such a precious gift? Did he have some ulterior motive? Or was there something he didn't understand? Ravel watched from afar, as confused as she was, wondering if this was a sign of change or just a strategic move by her father. The night of the negotiation arrived. Alba was wearing the dress, a dress that seemed tailor-made for her. But her heart was beating wildly. She felt that there was much more at stake than she had been told. As soon as she entered the restaurant, all eyes were on her. But it was next to Ravel that she felt most confident. The atmosphere was tense, and every look, every gesture seemed to weigh like a millstone. She knew that tonight could change everything, but she wasn't sure if it would be for the best. If you are enjoying this story, it would be really kind if you left a precious like and subscribed to the channel so as not to miss the next adventures. During dinner, Florin watched his partners nervously. He knew that the outcome of the deal could change the future of the company. But his greatest fear was that Ravel, as usual, could ruin everything. He called him aside, his face lined with years of unresolved tension. "Don't make a mess. This is your last chance," he hissed, staring at him with cold eyes. While father and son were busy in a corner, an elegant lady approached Alba. "I noticed how close you and Ravel are," she began, with a hint of a smile. "He is lucky to have someone like you by his side. You know, my husband was skeptical about this negotiation, but seeing Ravel's commitment, we decided to trust him." Alba was speechless. Those few sentences confirmed what she had known for a long time. Ravel had value, even if her father was unable to see it. Her heart pounding, she ran to him. "Ravel, I have something important to tell you," she whispered. "The partners want to close the deal. Thanks to you." Florin, astonished, turned to his son. For the first time, he saw what he had never wanted to acknowledge. Ravel was not a failure. He was his greatest success. Eventually, Ravel and Alba found the courage to build a life together, and Florin, despite everything, began to respect his son for what he had become. The bond between father and son finally began to heal, albeit slowly. Florin had to face his guilt, acknowledging that he had underestimated Ravel for too long. The future of the Bertram family changed. Ravel took over the reins of the real estate empire, proving himself capable of taking on the responsibility, but he did it in his own way, with empathy and dedication, values that Florin had always neglected. Alba, at his side, became a fundamental pillar not only in Ravel's personal life, but also in the management of the company, where her acumen and ability to understand people brought new successes. Have you ever experienced a situation where the recognition of a loved one changed everything? And you? Have you ever had to fight to prove your worth to someone who didn't want to see it?